La for, hit for none. All the time, la for, hit for none. For Islam stand for peace. La for, hit for none. For Islam stand for peace.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. We welcome you all our cherished viewers to another episode on Real Talk Africa. In this program, we discuss issues that affect man's general well-being. And these issues are wide-ranging, affecting our social, moral, spiritual, and physical well-being. Talking about our spiritual well-being, today, inshallah, we shall be discussing an important topic, that is service to humanity, service to mankind, and service to the entire universe. We have with us here in the studios experienced guests, experienced panelists who are going to help us. They share their experiences, they tell us their role models and how they were able to also serve humanity and how they have inspired the young ones to also come up to hold the mantle of serving humanity. Inshallah, our guests here in the studios are in the persons of Mr. Farouk Kwansanyame Sahib. Please, yeah, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
And next to him we have Mr. Idris Yusham Sahib. Mr. Idris, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And also next we have Mr. Sadiq Abbas Sahib. You are also most welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, our cherished viewers, you all know in Real Talk Africa, we do have our live studio audience here with us all the time who help us in making the program interactive. They get to answer, they get to ask questions to our panelists, they get to comment, and they get to also share their experiences so that we all watching at home, we benefit from whatever is going on. So if you've just joined us, stay glued to your TV set. This is Real Talk Africa, and we are discussing service to humanity, the need for us as youth of the Muslim community, of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, to serve mankind, to serve the nation, and to serve the institution of Khilafat. Now, I started the program mentioning the names of our panelists, and I said they are very, very well, let's say, experienced. So we want to know their background and something small about them so that we can start the program from there. Mr. Farouk.
Okay. Thank you very much. I am Farouk Kwansanyame. I had my basic education at Top Ridge at Takoradi. From there, I attended St. Augustine's College at Cape Coast. And then I continued by Allah's grace to Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, where I studied geodetic engineering. So I am an engineer by profession. I come from Ekumfi Otabnade in the central region. Currently, it is in the Ekumfi zone. I am currently working with Ghana Cocoa Board as one of their deputy directors.
Okay. Mr. Idris Yusham Sahib, we want to know more about you.
My name is Yusham Idris from Upper West, Wa precisely. I started my basic school at Experimental Primary School. There that I moved to Jijere TI JHS, completed and proceeded to Wa Senior High Secondary School. From there, I went to Nusrat Jahan Ahmadiyya College of Education. Came out as a professional teacher.
MashaAllah.
Taught small, went back to Wa Polytechnic to pursue my career as an accountant.
MashaAllah.
From there, I moved to University for Development Studies, Wa, now SD Dombo Business School. It was from the university that I'm currently working back with Nusrat Jahan Ahmadiyya College of Education as the finance officer for the college.
Okay. Jazakumullah.
Professionally, I am an accountant now.
Okay.
and a student with ICA Ghana here in Accra.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Jazakumullah. And last but not least, Mr. Sadiq Abbasai, please, we would want to know more about you.
Yeah, my name is Sadiq Abbas. I was born in Mankesim, but was sent to a village in Ashanti region called Adum in Suta. That is where I started my basic education at Insuta LA Primary. But to improve on our education, our parents brought us to Accra. And in Accra, I went to an international school, Highbury International, and then went to junior high as JSS at Christ Mission, or in around Kwashiman area. Then I went to Accra Academy for my senior secondary school certificate examination. From there, I went to the University of Ghana to pursue a degree program. After the University of Ghana, I worked for some time with a private construction company. And in that process, I did a diploma in insurance studies course. And from there, from the private institution, I moved to do some family business as well for about 3 years. Then, Alhamdulillah, when this studio was opened, I was one of the fortunate ones to be employed to serve the Jama'at here. That is my humble beginning.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah, Jazakumullah. As we all know, this program, Real Talk Africa, is mostly a program where we see the youth here discussing how to make sure that we, the youth, are involved in one or two things to propagate Islam or to even become better persons of, or better versions of ourselves. But today we see experienced people who we would say are not khuddam, though we have an experienced khadim right amongst us. I definitely know that we will get to know why a khadim has been added to the experienced men who are let's say Ansar later on as the submissions are being given. So we want to know from Mr. Farouk Sahib that you've told us briefly about how your education background was set up and even now working with the Ghana Cocoa Board. But today we want to inspire the Khuddamul Ahmadiyya. So we want to know, upon all these, how was your service to the Majlis Khuddamul Ahmadiyya? Because I know my producer would bring people here who have chalked much success when it comes to the Majlis Khuddamul Ahmadiyya. They've worked tirelessly for the Majlis Khuddamul Ahmadiyya. So we want to know, back in the days, how or where did you serve as a khadim?
I did my junior secondary school at Takrady. So I started serving Khuddamul Ahmadiyya from Takrady at the circuit level. I served as the Tajneed secretary at the circuit level in Takrady. Then, upon furthering to the university, I rose to the rank of deputy president or vice president of the association immediately an election was conducted in the first year. And then I became the president of, that time it was AMSUG. Yes, I became the president as early as, second year election.
Mashallah.
So third year, fourth year, I was the AMSUG president. And then once I got out of the university in 2012, I became the National Wakariama Secretary, so Muhtamim Wakariama.
Mashallah.
Then from there, I became the Muhtamim Tajneed. And then I became Muhtamim Tariqi Jadid. And then in 2019, Sadr Sahib appointed me as the Muawin Sadr in charge of Waqf Renown and Jaidad. So that has been my journey through serving the Majlis.
Mashallah.
Currently, I'm a Nasser. Immediately, I became a Nasser. Just a year, I'm within my first year as a Nasser. I'm serving as the Naib Nazim for Achimota Circuit.
Mashallah.
So I have started again from the circuit level there. And I'm praying that Almighty Allah will guide me through
Inshallah.
and make sure that we are able to serve the Jama'at to the best of our abilities. What I would say is that serving the Jama'at keeps you away from all sorts of indecencies. So it is always better, regardless whether the position is at the Jama'at level, circuit level, zonal, regional, or the national level. Once it is given you, you would have to accept and work with all your heart, because blessings from Allah doesn't matter whether you are serving from the Jama'at level, circuit, or at the national level. So at any point in time, it is always better that any assignment that is given you, you do it wholeheartedly. It takes you away from a lot of indecencies. That is what I can
Working for the Jama'at takes you away from a lot of indecencies. Before we come to Mr. Idris Sahib, we would want to move to another Nasser. We've heard from a young Nasser. Now we go to another Nasser to get to know of his activities when he was also a Khadim, how he also got the opportunity to serve the Jama'at as a Khadim, to get inspirations from his story as well.
Yes, to start with, the difference is just 1 year. I graduated and a year later he joined. So we are almost contemporaries.
MashaAllah.
Yes.
MashaAllah.
Where I came from, as I said earlier, from the village, the Majlis was not very active. Yes, so, and transiting into Accra, I didn't get the opportunity to merge right from the beginning. But my involvement, active involvement in the Jama'at activities started really when I was in the university. Like my brother, I also had the exposure of being an executive member back in the days, 99, when I entered the University of Ghana. I was the organizing secretary for AMSUC then, and became there, and then the national secretariat came to Legon campus.
Okay.
So I also became the national organizer for AMSUC. Then rose up to become a national AMSUC member, president as well in 2003. We were fortunate to organize a national conference at the University of Ghana campus. And right after graduating in 2003, by the grace of Allah, the sheer grace of Allah, there was a revolution in the Majlis Kudama Ahmadiyya, where a chunk number of the executives then were transiting into Majlis Ansar. So the then Sadr, Alhaji Wahab Isa, the current Naib Amir II of the Ghana Jama'at, was looking for people to fill various positions. And looking at the way we served the Jama'at, the AMSUC, we were cropped in to serve the Majlis. So it was in 2003 that I had the opportunity and the rare honor to be an executive of the Majlis Kudama Ahmadiyya Ghana, where I was appointed, although I was not employed, but I was appointed at the Sana to Tijarat as a Trade and Commerce Secretary, where I served. And then I also had the honor to serve as an Ishat Secretary and served also as the Tarbiyat Secretary, then came back to Ishat again. And also at the later stages, that was somewhere around 2016, I was appointed Muawin Sadr, that is the assistant to the Sadr in charge of Wakfi now. And also special assignment from the Sadr Majlis Kudama Ahmadiyya Ghana. Before then, in 2017, as I said, the honor of when the completion of this building was given, I was upgraded from serving voluntarily to a full service of the Jama'at, where I have the heavy task of working in the MTA studios. I look at it as a very heavy tax because when you are serving voluntarily as a Hadim, you go for Wakarama, you can go for 1 minute, 2 minutes and walk away. Allah knows your abilities. But this time around, I'm being paid by the Jama'at. So it means that I have to do extra more. And it is a rare case if you are a staff of the Jama'at. It's a very big honor and a very big responsibility that you enjoy. And that is how fortunate I see myself to be serving the Jama'at in that level.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Now we come to the Khadim amongst our resource persons here today, Mr. Idris Saib. Mr. Idris Saib, as I mentioned earlier on, my producer keeps on bringing people who are very well experienced in the Majlis. So seeing you here today means you are very, very much experienced, and we would want you to share your experiences with us so that we also get to learn something, one or two, we take in one or two from your story.
I would say that I have been kept in a very difficult situation because both to my wings, I have served with them.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
Until their subsequent graduation into Majlis Ansarullah. In our proverb, they say that when the elders have spoken, you close your mouth. That is why I said you have kept me in a very fixed corner. All the same, I think there's a purpose why man was created.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is in that fulfillment, that is why we are here today. Like they indicated, I personally began way back at the junior high school, where when I transited from experimental primary and was to go to community JHS, there I told my uncle that I want to be in an Ahmadi institution. I do not want to go to a government institution again. So I was sent to Jujireri JSS. Upon reaching Jujireri JSS, I realized that the pass grade there, as compared with the other basic schools, was far, far, far very bad. So I spoke with some teachers who were Ahmadi teachers in that basic school, if they could give me the opportunity to organize, particularly my colleague Ahmadi brethren, said that during the holidays, they could give us some extra tuition to at least give a better name to the school. That is how I began.
MashaAllah.
And that opportunity actually was given to me. There, I took it upon myself straight into the senior high school. That wherever that I am, and insofar as my colleague Ahmadis are there, we need to make a difference. And I will stand on feet, whether I am an executive member or a follower. Once the assignment is there, I go all out for it. Fortunately, at the senior high school, like they indicated, AMSUC activities roped me in as the finance secretary for that school. It was from there I realized that in 7 days' faith, you will attain heights that you might not even think you could get to.
Yeah.
From there, we moved to the College of Education. I said they were my seniors. They were working, we were observing them. They exited and we took over.
That's it.
And like they organized the national conference in 2003, 2005, I hosted it in Upper West, AMSUC National Conference at Tumu College of Education. I moved it even from the Nusrat Jahan Ahmadiyya College of Education to another College of Education which is non-Ahmadi owned, just to send out the message of Islam Ahmadiyya. While serving in the senior high school, a former Qaid, Mr. Abdul Salam Salih, co-opted me to his amla as a special aid to him, even though that is not part of the system of Majlis Udam al-Ahmadiyya. He just wanted me to be following him and keeping track of events and happenings, so that within the close of the month, I should be able to organize some data for him to present as his monthly report.
These were not because he just thought that you should be someone to work with. Rather, he had seen all that activities, all that energy you had put in, right from wherever you were making sure that the Ahmadis were coming together to form an association or to help, like,
progress the Jama'at.
Yes, in the Jama'at activities.
Sure. So he kept me as a special assistant.
Okay, okay.
In fact, I enjoyed working with him and I learned so much. Just as he was handing over the baton to his immediate regional Qaid, who happens to also be my uncle, Mr. Jalal Abdullah. He then brought me formally into the Amla.
Okay. That was in the year
2002.
MashaAllah.
He brought me into the Amla as Nazim Atfal, secretary Atfal, just to handle the age brethren of 7 to 15. And that was my role I played with him until 2008, when he equally exited as the Qaid. When he exited, I served under Qaid Yahya on same role until 2012, when he exited as well. Then Qaid Samsidin came and made me the Circuit Qaid for Wa East Circuit. And after 2 years, in 2014, I was made to serve in this position as the 7th regional Qaid since 2014 to date.
That is more than like 6.
That's about 9 years. 9 years now.
MashaAllah, as a regional Qaid.
As a regional Qaid.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. We shall be coming back to your stories. Okay. It's a very, very interesting one. And 9 years as a regional Qaid. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. We will be coming to the audience in a very short while, but we would want to take something from Mr. Farouk Shahib. He mentioned the fact that he has worked with some other, or going into his social life. He even now works with the Ghana Cocoa Board. I don't know for how long you've worked with them, but you mentioned the various, like your education system. And in your submission as well, you made mention of the fact that you have served in the Jama'at as Motamim, Wakari Amal, Tajni, Tahrik Jadid, even a special aid or a Muawin Sadr. Working in these fields and also having these positions in the Jama'at, how were you able to manage your time and serve in your capacity as a Cocoa Board member, and also to serve the Jama'at in such a capacity?
Okay. It is all about time management. Apparently, I have taken a lot of inspirations from the General Secretary, Mr. Abbas Wilson. Apparently, he also studied geodetic engineering at the university, and he's also a geodetic engineer as a profession. Anytime you had gone to the mission house, he's like a missionary. He's always there. Meanwhile, you go to the workplace too, he's performing.
MashaAllah.
So then you would hardly have any excuse than to try and manage your time in such a way that, yes, at your workplace, you are able to do exactly what you are requested to do. So that even if it happens that you would have to work at night to make sure that, you know, your targets are met at the workplace, so that any time you are called upon, I mean, with work pertaining to the Jama'at, you are able to do so. And more so, anytime you find yourself at workplace, you would have to be very honest and hardworking. You would also have to let them know that you belong to the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jama'at. For that matter, every Friday, when it is time for Juma, regardless, you would have to ask for permission to go for Juma prayers. When you even ask and duty doesn't allow you, once you do ask 1, 2, 3, the third time, definitely you will be allowed to. Combining, you know, education work and Jama'at works really started at secondary school. You see, at JSS, we were about 4 Ahmadis at Top Ridge School. All 3 of them went to Tia Ahmadiyya Kumasi, and I happened to have gone to St. Augustine's College. It happened that there is a recitation they call Angelus, that at every 6 o'clock in the morning you would have to recite that. Then at 12 o'clock midday you would have to recite that. And in the evening at 6 o'clock you would also have to do that. It happened that we were in a classroom and it was 12 o'clock. Then a master enters. We had gone in for the first year. Apparently, I happened to have been there with only Catholics, and I was the only Ahmadi Muslim, so I didn't know how to recite the Angelus. Then we were disturbing in the class. Apparently, I wasn't disturbing though, but the others were disturbing, and the master entered. And he asked, it's time for Angelus, so we should all stand up and recite Angelus. Then all my colleagues did recite, except me because I was an Ahmadi Muslim. Then he asked, why are you not able to recite the Angelus prayers? Then I said, yes, because I'm an Ahmadi Muslim. So I have just come, I will learn it. Not knowing, the master went to Tia Ahmadiyya Secondary School, Kumasi. And I was like, if you're an Ahmadi, why didn't you go to Tia Ahmadiyya Secondary School? And you came to a Catholic school. As to whether it was jovial or he was serious, I was touched. So then it was like, I should have attended Tia Ahmadiyya Secondary School with my colleagues. So there and there, anytime there was AMSU conference, regardless, I had to take exits and go for the AMSU conference from day one. That is how come when I entered the university, you could see, you know, I was very active, and we tried as much as possible that even though we were students, but during weekends, we organized ourselves and we went to Tia Ahmadiyya Fomina, Tia Ahmadiyya Asokore, Tia Ahmadiyya Kumasi, to go and teach them so that at least, if for nothing at all, their performance, you know, would be improved. So for all the 4 years that we find ourselves at, you know, KNUST, every weekend we're going to one of the Tia Ahmadiyya secondary schools to go and then help, you know, them in their academic works.
MashaAllah.
So it started from there. So then combination of education, work, and Jama'at work started right away from the university level. And it was all triggered by what happened at the secondary school when the teacher told me that if you were an Ahmadi, you should have attended Tia Ahmadiyya Secondary School. So at workplace, just as I said, at the university, we're trying to manage our time. You did your school work, you still did AMSUC duties, and during weekends, you still went to the secondary schools to assist them. That has helped us, you know, carry out the way we plan our life, work for Jama'at, and then do, you know, our secular work as well. But then, it is about faith. We strongly believe that, look, once you make some time to do Jama'at work, Almighty Allah will see you through in your secular works that you do. And it happens. Whenever you are having a lot of duties at work or you're having a lot of difficulties at work, you attach or find some time to do Jama'at works. By the time you come back, you would have the solution, or anything that was difficult, would become very peaceful for you. That is what has made us, combine both work and, Majlis works and then Jama'at works like that.
Mashallah, that is faith inspiring, because as you rightly mentioned, you should let them know who you are. Let them know what you stand for. You stand for the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. So wherever you are, be in a workplace, being in school, you should let them know what you stand for. And that is what our Qaid Sahib, Idris Sahib has also mentioned. And that is what Mr. Farouk Sahib is also telling us. If you let them know what you stand for, you are going to gain that grounds to serve the Jama'at in every best possible manner. And also let us know how to manage our time, and let us have strong faith in Allah the Almighty that if we work for the Jama'at, Allah is going to pay us back in manifold. Now we take from our audience, if any. Okay, Jazakum. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I am Idris. Thank you very much, because you have answered most of my questions. Like being, I'm always busy, and then I've been given a lot of opportunity to serve the Jama'at, but because of my busy schedule, I ignore most of them. So, like as I was saying, you have answered almost all of them. So my coming here has been very inspiring, and it has been motivating me. So I want to also do a follow-up question that what motivates you, including all your busy schedules and your work, what motivates you to serve Islam Ahmadiyya in the best way?
Okay, so he wants to know the motivation behind you serving the Jama'at. But before we get you to answer that, we will go to Mr. Sadiq Abbas Sahib. Now, in your submission earlier on, you made mention of the fact that your beginning wasn't of that where you had that opportunity to serve or to mingle with the Jama'at activities because of where you came from, but you started when you entered into the university. Now, we want to know, to those of us who also didn't have that opportunity, perhaps we were among a majlis, but we didn't know or we didn't have that feel, the need to serve or to be part of the service to the Jama'at. We want to know how difficult was it for you beginning to serve the Jama'at, and how you encourage anyone who is anywhere, either joining a majlis now or within a majlis and is not serving, to serve as an encouragement for the person to also own up and start doing something to serve the Jama'at.
Yes, at the University of Ghana, actually at Accra Academy, myself and Mr. Jamil Bedu, the current president of Ashanti Road, we were the only Ahmadis in Accra Academy. So we were joining the non-Ahmadi Muslims to pray and do various activities. But at Legon, we had Amsuk and we had a place of prayer. And that is where it started. First of all, there was an attempt on campus to look out for fresh Ahmadis who had come on. And personally, I also made the effort to identify myself to be part of the group. So the advice is that to anyone, when you go to any community, the first point of call is for you to try and identify if there are Ahmadis in that area. If they are, or if there are none, then you look for the nearest area. I happened to go to work at Nkari area. There was a village called Kutukum. In that town, there was no Ahmadiyya mosque. So when we got there, we were 2 Ahmadis. When we got there, we started looking for the nearest Ahmadi mosque, and that was in Nkari. It was about 30 minutes drive, like if you are going by public transport. But we identified ourselves, introduced ourselves to the missionary, and we made sure that every Friday we go for Juma prayers. And that is the beginning, the ability for you to identify yourself and be involved. And that is where the dedication and then, the working for the Jama'at starts from. Because if you don't, you get yourself attending prayers and the rest, you'll never be known. And then you will not get opportunity to serve the Jama'at. So.
MashaAllah. So we would tackle the question from our brother here. I would want, I know because of the kind of work our revered panelist here working with the Cocoa Board and also serving the Jama'at, you wanted to know what his motivation was. But I would want to direct that same question to Mr. Idrissa, because being a kite for 9 years isn't a small factor. So we want to know what motivates you for you to keep on serving as a kite of a whole region, shouldering all the responsibilities of the Majlis. But before you start with that, we would want to take a question from, or any suggestion or a comment from the audience, and after that we will just come for that answer.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Manan. I'm a student of K University. And we all know how the university is. We know there are various obstacles and challenges. What was one of your biggest challenges in the university? And also, did you ever have any doubts during your course of serving the Jama'at when you were in the university? Thank you.
Jazakumullah. Now we come to Mr. Idrissa for the motivation aspect. We want to know the motivation behind this.
It varied but narrowed to the home. I happened to be brought up by an uncle who was the muazzin of the Central Mosque, Upper West, who was amazing by profession and who will prepare to go out to work for people's building. And only when a Jama'at call is made on him, he will ignore the worldly gains that he would have driven from his profession as a mason and move back, whether it is the cemetery, and move back, whether it is a wakaramar activity, and move back to the mission, whether it was security needed by Majlis Sudam al-Ahmadiyya. In all this, I would say I was like a pet to him. He will take me there. Now, what else is the motivation that made him to do that? I couldn't understand. But finally, he told me one day that, you see, every human being has a purpose to play in this world. And that purpose or that role, you need to sit, reflect, and identify the role for which why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have created you for. When you are able to identify that, then you work towards that. There and then, I began reflecting over the poem to the nation's youth. That, O ye tender plans of the nation, to you I have something to say, provided the word is, my message may flash not away. So when he mentioned that to me, I asked, Uncle, you have never spoken to me this way. Why are you saying this to me? He told me, Yusham, if you become anything in this world and you will not serve this Jama'at, I will not be happy. That was my motivation.
And that is very, very much clear from, as you mentioned, that inspiration starts from home, but you've added that quality of faith to it, that seeing that is all that you should work for, because there is a purpose of humans on this earth. And that is exactly what Mr. Farouk mentioned in the beginning, that if you have this firm faith that if I am working for the Jama'at, anything which I think is an impediment to my work, you leave it, come back, and you find that there is a solution to that.
Sure.
So let's build that strong faith to our work that we are doing, and inshallah, with this strong desire and faith to serve Allah the Almighty, our other works would be done. We would come to Mr. Farouk Sahib. Our man here mentioned one aspect. He wants to know the biggest challenge in your university. Like I wouldn't narrow it to the university. I would rather broaden it to the aspect of even at work. What has been the challenges from school or the workplaces, and how have you been able to like jump over this hurdle? And also, has there ever been any doubt in your service to the Jama'at? Before you answer that, we would take a quick one from the audience, and from there we would come for the answer.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm Mohammed Menu, a student of KNUST. I happen to be in the case of Mr.
Idris Saib.
Yeah, Idris Saib's friend. But then my problem is I was once elected as the Atfal, Nazim, and follows up. But then my problem is I sometimes feel I'm a favorite. And that's the question I'm about asking. Did you ever feel or have the notion as being a favorite? Because with that, I sometimes backslide. Because it's like whenever it happens to choose somebody, I'm always noted for those positions. So it sometimes be a burden on me that why is it that others are not being called, but then it's always me.
Yeah, so you being the favorite is you saying that when they want to choose someone for that purpose, they always think you are the better option.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to know, did he ever had that notion in mind, and what did he do what does he do when those notions come in mind?
Okay, so when he's having those thoughts like, okay, I'm the best, that's why I've been chosen.
So
how is he able to deal
with those notions when it comes? If it happens that way.
Okay, so before we take that, we would come and have the question answered by Mr. Farouk Shah.
I'll start from the school, especially KNUST.
Okay.
At KNUST, I was so much engrossed in AMSUG activities. Because of that, as early as first year election, I was elected as the vice president. So then it became like now the mantle of steering the affairs of Ahmadiyya Student Union on campus is in your hands. You tend to get a lot of questions from non-Ahmadis and Christians alike. I become very worried when a question is really posed and you don't have an outright answer for them. But, in God's own design, I was also very close to the mission house. So the then president of the Ashanti region, Mr. T.A. Boateng, was a very close, mentor in the Ashanti region when I was the AMSUC executive member. Questions like, why is it that it's in the Quran that you are supposed to marry maximum 4, and the Prophet did more than 4, then it hits you. You haven't even thought of the fact that the Prophet had more than 4. So then you needed an explanation. Then quickly you would have to run to the mission house, go get answer, and then you come and educate both the AMSUG members and the Christians who asked that particular question. Hazrat Aisha's marriage, and they would always want to ask questions about the Prophet. Hazrat, Aisha's marriage with, the Prophet, too young. Wasn't it, they can even put it child labor. Then, yes, you also know, Hazrat Aisha was young, so what was the reason behind it? Then you still have to run to the mission house. So if you want to ask me, if you are focused, really, really focused, and you get yourself engaged in a lot of Jama'at activities apart from your academic works, things like the way the ladies dress, it wouldn't bother you. You won't even see it. I think most often than not, both at work and at school, when you are so busy, there are times you would even see a lady and you greet, "Good morning, sir," and you pass away. Because you are so much engrossed in what you are thinking of. You are so much engrossed in what you want to go and do, ahead of you. So activities like going for classes, studying, AMSUG activities, going to the missions for questions that is bothering me, getting answers, weekend going to secondary schools to teach. I was so much occupied. That is how come initially I told you, any Jama'at responsibility that is given you, you would have to take it and do it wholeheartedly. Other than that, immediately you don't do Jama'at work or you don't do good works, bad deeds would fill in. So you would always have to get yourself occupied to be able to do that. At work, except that you think that the successes that you are chalking, it's your own doing and not that of the Almighty Allah. If you only believe that God says that if you walk to Him, He will run to you. See, He didn't say He would walk to you before you run to Him. So always you would have to take the first step. Is that okay? He says walk, I'll run. He says run, I'll fly. Is that okay? When you have belief like that, you would always want to make a first step. You are doing the work. It's so demanding. Your boss is on you. Make the first step. Go for Juma. Ask permission. Go for Juma and see what will happen. Because he says, take the first step. Is that okay? You would always have to try and take the first step. How I got into Ghana Cocoa Board. I entered Cocoa Board with a degree and a diploma. People I went for interview with had masters and so on and so forth. Yet still, at the end of the day, you come out victorious. Because, you see, you are going and you think it is the doing of Almighty Allah. If it is first degree and diploma, oh Almighty Allah, a lot of people have it. If it is not you, there is no way I'll be successful in this kind of interview I'm going for. Then you know that from day one, what you are going to do, it is Almighty Allah that is handpicking you to go and do it. So then it is not your might, because if you are talking about degree, you know the number of people who have degree in this country and diploma in this country, that you just go for an interview with that and yes, so you are the one that is chosen. When it happens like that, and you experience it like that, then, your faith develops. It inspires you. Is that okay? I would want that to be the advice that I would give you.
We would come to Mr. Sadiq Sahib. You had the opportunity to serve as a Muawin to the Sadr Sahib, as an aide to the Sadr Sahib of the Majlis Khudamul Ahmadiyya. You've also worked in so many various capacities in the Majlis, being it Wakari Amal, Tajneed and all that, or some other Senato Tijarat. So we want to know, as we rightly mentioned, coming up and serving the community, who were those people you looked up to, and what has been the inspiration you've left behind, or how are you able to pass the baton to the younger ones so that they would also show that this responsibility on them?
Yes. As I said, I was actually, fortunate. Because I was the one of the youngest, if not the youngest at that time, to serve in the National AMLA. And I joined the National AMLA right after school. And the first point of service, the person that influenced me most was the then Sado, the current Naiba Mutu, Alaji Wahab Isa. You see, after school, immediately I was awaiting my national service. So I used to go to the Majlis Kudam Ahmadiyya office. So I was mostly like his private secretary or assistant in that way, although I was also the Senator Jama'at officer. So I was typing his letters, doing his report, everything. The secretary then was also Mr. Ahmed Usukunedu. Yes, but after some few years, after some few months, he happened to move to the United Kingdom, and Abdul Wahab. Then he also moved on to become the Sadr Majlis Kudam Ahmadiyya. He was serving as a secretary, but he was not based in Accra. He was based in Akuse. So whilst he's there, I was also in the office typing some letters and reports and whatever that need be. And I must add this, that, you see, something happened. I applied for civil service. We have to go and write an exams. I didn't know how to prepare to write that exams, entry exam. So I just went there. And when I went there, I saw my mates from JSS, the university, secondary school, plenty of them. And some of them were having papers they have written notes on, they were reading. And the topics they were reading or the exams that came were the topics they were reading about. I didn't have any prior information. But when I went to the exams room to write the exams, what I did was I applied the practicals that I learned from the Majlis Kudam Ahmadiyya office. That was the only experience I had. And after some months, I was in the house sleeping, and I got a call. Somebody from the Civil Service Commission called me and said, Abbas, what are you doing? We are doing interview. You are number 9 for the exams, and you are not here. The whole Ghana, they wrote the exams with that little experience. I was number 9th. Those friends who were having those apport in that local parlance, having those prior information, they didn't pass the exams. But I became 9 because of that service and the experience I gathered from the Majlis. Yes. Back to the question, one of the inspiration too is the then Maulana movie, Abdul Wahab Adam, being right at the headquarters. Once in a while, he could call me to his office to do 1 or 2 things for him. And through that, I also learned how it is.
MashaAllah.
Yes.
It means getting yourself in touch or linking yourself to the great men of the community, those who have devoted themselves in the community. You begin to learn so much experience that you will be able to actually live it in your social life as well. Kaisha, Mr. Idris, we would want to take your last words in the form of the statement this gentleman made on the fact that, have you ever had this idea just in some few seconds? If you ever had that idea, how were you able to come over it? And if you never had, what would be the advice in some few 30 seconds? Our time is short now.
What I have to tell my brother and the questioner is that if you take Surah Al-Fatiha and read, there's a verse that says, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Thee alone do I worship, and thee alone do I employ for help. have firm faith that your service to the Jama'at, whether somebody thought he is doing you a favor, or whether you yourself have the notion that they are doing you a favor, should be a thing of the past. And focus that you want to be the Habibullah, the friend of Allah. Because after all, your purpose of being created to this world that has been my guiding principle. And that has been what I work on. Nothing more, nothing less.
Jazakumullah ahsan al-jaza. So we would want to tell everyone watching that we've learned a lot today, and I know you as well, our viewer out there, you have learned a lot. We should dedicate most of our times in the service to Allah the Almighty, to the service of Jama'at, and in doing so, Allah Almighty is going to actually pay back in manifold blessings, and we would chop some great success which we ourselves never thought of. And we should also know that whatever we are doing for the Jama'at right now, it is not our doing. It is through the might and will of Allah the Almighty. Let's not ever have this perception that we are the ones who are there to do the thing. Mind you, when you are not there, there is someone going to do it better than you. So the Jama'at is going to progress. How far is your service to the Jama'at? With or without you, the Jama'at is progressing. Let's all dedicate our lives. Let's serve Jama'at, and Allah Almighty is going to be with us. This is where time would allow us for today's program. We say Jazakumullah to our experienced panelists today. We say Jazakumullah to our studio audience for your time, and also to you, the viewers out there, for spending time with us. Until we meet again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
La ilaha